First video this is. See what I did there? So if you're the absolute embodiment of the word imbecile and didn't read the title, today we are ranking the best and worst, most absolute dumpster fires of Star Wars movies. We are going to be ranking by best to worst. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we have Revenge of the Sith. Oh my, I'm soaking wet. This without a shred of a doubt goes in S. And if you even think about arguing, you're banned. Where do I even start with this? It's such a goddamn masterpiece, I'm slurring my words. And I'm a fucking robot. I love how the old heads used to hate on Hayden's acting. But fast forward a couple years, and now they all love and praise him. Make it make sense. But back to the movie. This is by far the best action in any Star Wars film. I said it. Next up we have Empire and oh, I can't take it anymore. This fanbase overrates this goddamn movie more than the NBA overrates Ben Simmons. Don't get me wrong, it's still S tier, but wow. This glaze is more drippy than a fresh Krispy Kreme donut. Yes, I love this movie and it deserves love, but it's getting a little out of hand. Next up we have Return of the Jedi and I'm gonna piss some people off with this one, but I'm okay with that. This movie is so fire I got a second-degree burn just by laying eyes on it. I prefer this over Empire any day of the week. Oh, and did I mention this? Now for our first movie that's not an S, we have A New Hope. As a young Padawan, I probably would have put this in D. This was due to the fact I was a child with the attention span of Jar Jar Binks. That's right. Fuck you, Jar Jar. Mesa that bitch. Anyway, as I grew up and no longer have the brain deadism of an absolute buffoon, I watched it again and realized they were cooking with this. In fact, this is now a comfort movie for me. And if you don't like it, well, someone's gotta be the Jar Jar of the friend group. I love you, A New Hope. I love you. And if you love A New Hope, consider yourself lucky that you're not a Jar Jar. Next up we have The Force Awakens. And I ain't gonna lie, this is going in absolute horseshite. Haha, did I get you? Of course I got you, I'm a damn genius. This movie is my top 5 without a shred of doubt. I'd love to see you debate me on this, cause this is what you'd see. Everything about this movie is absolute heat besides one thing. How in the flippity fuck is some new Jedi bitch beating an absolute Sigma male who had trained for over a decade and eventually becoming a Sith Lord? And don't even get me started on that little shit-stained Finn who can't stop himself from crying every scene of the movie and somehow beats my goat Kylo due to plot armor. Besides that pathetic excuse of a third act, this movie was actually the start of something strong. Or so we thought. Now we have what's thought to be the most controversial of them all. Phantom Menace. Now I put this in B, meaning it's alright, but I could go either way with this depending on the day. Obviously, Duel of the Fates is one of the greatest fight scenes to ever exist, and Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn are both Himothy. After I saw this re-released in theaters, it was such a nostalgic feeling, and I was all for it. But then this one motherfucker had to come in and ruin my entire experience. Plus, the writing and CGI was also pretty bad even for its time. Oh, I can't wait for this one. We now have The Last Jedi. This is going straight to B, and I know so many of you are furious, but that puts a smile on my face. They were actually cooking with this movie. And might I say, this was the greatest CGI of them all. They really captured the brokenness of Kylo and how it made him even more ruthless. One of my only problems with this was, just get her off my screen, please. I still have yet to watch Solo, but I plan on it, so don't go crazy. Next up would be Rogue One, and this confuses me, because I went into this hearing it was the best, but watched it and thought I would rather watch paint dry on a wall. Now don't get me wrong, it's a decent movie, but it was severely boring. That Vader scene was like eating the greatest steak of your life and washing it down with a nice cold beer. But then the rest of the movie is like the bad burp you get right after. It does have amazing acting though, so that's something. Attack of the Clones is another controversial one, but for me is a pretty easy choice. C tier. Some days I love this movie and some days I don't. Actually, most days I don't. The runtime feels like it's longer than a turtle running a half-mile with broken legs. And if we were going strictly off of writing, this would be in absolute horseshite. Also, I can't not mention how damn boring Count Dookie is. Like, bro, I'd rather listen to a 10-hour Nails on a Chalkboard soundtrack than watch another second of this old crusty motherfucker speak. And even he's more bearable than Jar Jar. I will say that Anakin and Obi-Wan's friendship does definitely save this. Oh, and did I mention this? Lastly, we have, oh God, don't make me remember this. I think we all know where this is going. Okay, let's start with the good, I guess. If there is any, my guess Kylo turning good was cool, and having him imagine Solo was actually a pretty neat idea. Can someone help me out? Yeah, I got nothing else. Now onto the bad. First off, this movie is just as long as Attack of the Clones, but with a worse story. Snooze. Secondly, why the fuck would you bring Palpatine back? Lil homie got absolutely demolished by Vader, no diff. And somehow he's just back from the dead like nothing happened? Bullshit. Just another worthless Disney cash grab with little to no effort at all. This movie alone ruins the entire trilogy of the sequels. How the same director for The Force Awakens directed this shit is beyond me. If this movie didn't exist, the world would be a happier place. Adam Driver is the only thing in this movie that keeps my sanity together. Rise of Skywalker is absolute horseshit. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and make sure not to be like this guy.